Hey folks, this is Mick with Blitz TCG in our third developer update. I'm going to try to go ahead and get into this and prevent it from going over 15 minutes. Right away you'll notice the login menu looks quite different. We've prettied it up quite a bit. The buttons at this point have much higher feedback as well as some highlighting hover over interactions because of course the buttons and some of the UI we used previously just wasn't as fun as it could have been. So that will continue to be updated as development proceeds, and eventually we'll add sound effects and stuff too. For now, I'm just going to log in to one of my accounts. Now really all the accounts were just reset for this build, so this is what I would consider a pretty fresh look at everything as it is right now. Let's start on the top left. You'll notice right away that we have some hover highlighting options here for the menus. Just a little bit better feedback for the user. If we click this, if you saw one of the previous videos, I think it was the first one, you might remember that we used to have the user enter a URL here, and then that URL would download a random image, or not a random image, some image the user has selected for their PFP. Instead of doing that, because it's quite slow, we instead are just going to have some PFPs pre-created that users can choose from, and then those PFPs will be shared electronically via Firebase. So for example, if I click this here, you'll see my PFP be updated with Void, and now Void is my PFP, and other users will see that as my PFP. Let's now hop into the friends list. The friends list has also changed quite a bit. We now have two tabs, the block list and the friends list. We also have it checking for the current state of the user, so whether they're logged in or logged out. Just to prove that to you, I'm going to hop over quickly to this build environment here. You'll see I'm logged in as Low-Key Nerd, and that is why Low-Key Nerd here has this little green mark next to them. So you can click remove. Also worth mentioning that the buttons here have gotten quite a bit of an overhaul as well. But if we want to remove, let's say, High Key Nerd, we could do that. High Key Nerd has been removed. If then we want to go in and block High Key Nerd, assuming I can spell their name right, then we could do that too, and then also remove them if we so choose. Now, of course, if we went to add somebody that doesn't exist, it would yell at us. If we went to go to add somebody that already did exist, it would yell at us. So all that checking is in place. Now, let's move into what I think some of you are excited about, which is the chat functionality as a whole. So the chat functionality has three, I would say, major features. It has global chat, which I am currently queued up to type in by default. It has whisper chat, and it also has friends chat. So let's start with global chat. Again, loaded by default. I say hello here. And then if I wanted to, I could switch quickly over here and see that hello pops up in this environment as well. So that's just to demonstrate that we're not faking it, right? This is all integrated with Firebase at this point. So now, a few things, and this is really due to feedback. You'll be able to disable global chat. So once you click that button and it turns gray, you'll no longer receive any global chat messages. So to demonstrate that quickly, I can just go in here and type some random stuff. And you'll notice that it did not get updated on this side. I could enable it, and now when I go back, of course, and I say, hello to whatever, now it is coming back through as expected. There are shortcut commands, so if I want to whisper somebody, so I have a user in the system by username of 1, I could say, hi guy. And there you go. So now I whispered this username of 1. If I tried to whisper somebody that didn't exist, it would tell me that the user doesn't exist. So it's actually doing a Firebase lookup for that user upon us doing that. I could switch back to global chat. Now if I try to switch back to global chat without sending a message, it's going to yell at us. So I'll type something there. I'll just demonstrate kind of the string entry here and it moving down and the bar popping up. And then you could also, instead of pressing enter, you could, of course, press the button here too. The other thing I'd like to show is that let's say somebody random messages you. So let's say, this user Low-Key Nerd messaged you and you hadn't added them as a friend yet, well, you could just click their name here, click add. Of course, they're already added in this case. Maybe we'll just demonstrate that quickly. So we'll remove, cool, exit back out, click them, add. Low-key nerd has been added. That's great. And if I come back to my friends list, you see they're there, they're online, cool. I'm actually going to remove them though, so let's pretend they weren't my friend. I would whisper them. You'd see the whisper come in. I could say hello again. And then of course that pops up down here as well. You could also block from this menu if you so chose. Now, if they're added as a friend, you're going to get a warning message that you can't block them because they're your friend. But if they're not your friend, then they will be blocked just by that click of the button. That really gets us through a large piece and bit of the messaging system. At this point, I would consider it fully working. Maybe it's also worth mentioning the whisper chat here. So if I disable this whisper chat, I won't be able to, well, let's unblock this user first too. At least you're getting to see it quickly and it moving as fast as it can. So once whisper chat is disabled, you'll get this warning message here. That is disabled. So if somebody were to whisper you, I suppose we could show that quickly too. So let's say, you know, I want to whisper. So I just told this mic test user a bunch of random gibberish, but you see this user didn't get it, right? Because they have whisper chat disabled. Now it is worth mentioning, and I'll show this in a moment, when I enable whisper chat again, then I, you know, click out and go back in, the message does come in, and that's because some feedback from you all indicated it would be useful if even when you're offline, you were able to receive like upwards of 10 messages, and then when you log in, you would see those messages for your viewing pleasure. So in other words, people will still be able to message you while you're offline, but you're only going to be able to see some amount of those messages when you log back in. Trying to think through if there's anything else interesting. Updated some of the buttons in here to be, again, a little prettier, a little better for use. Let's quickly check out the deck builder and show you all where this is heading. So the deck builder, when I click new deck, eventually it's going to ask me to pick a general. For now, we just have some placeholders over here. Let's just say I pick the red deck. I can drag and drop cards into this deck as I see fit. And then once I get to 10 cards, I'll be able to save the deck. So the minimum amount of cards that you can have in a deck is 10. If I scroll down just real quick, you can see some of these cards are grayed out, which means they're not usable in the current deck. I can also click these cards to add them if I so chose, and it'll just bring them over here. But I personally like the dragging and dropping more than the clicking. All right. So then let's see if I save this deck. That's great. Here it is. If I want to go back in and edit it, I could. And when I go back in to edit it, the first thing I want to show you is, for example, if I remove, let's see, my level 1 card. So at this point, I only have one level 1 card. It yells at you and it says, hey, you know, you're supposed to have 2 level 1 cards. And that's because at the start of a match in Blitz, you're only going to be able to use level 1 cards. So if you don't come in with any level 1 cards, you're not going to be able to play anything. So this is just some, again, basic deck checking that I wanted to demonstrate. Nothing too crazy. But, you know, it exists and it'll make it so you don't have to worry about doing something silly. And again, this is the warning message you get if for some reason you try to add a card to your deck that is not usable with the current general that you have selected. If you want to delete a card, you can drag and drop in here. I think I might have showed that last time. And then if you want to delete a deck, you could just do it like that. So the next steps here are to add some sound effects over these button actions. So, you know, as you're hovering, just some click effects and stuff like that. All easy things, but it, you know, makes for a better sense of gameplay once you actually get in and play the game. I can see I'm already running up against the 10-minute mark. Time goes fast. Last thing to mention here is that the next steps for the core game is the skirmish menu and, of course, the gameplay itself. So, actively working on this as of next week. All right, so let's close this out. Let's close that out. Let's show now one more thing that I'm quite excited about, which is our website. So if you haven't seen it, Certainly go check it out. We released the new website. Both Blitz TCG and Blitz TCG will take you here. It's got a nice artwork scroller at the top, and then as you look down here, it'll take you to our white paper, which is now much easier to update compared to what it was before. It'll take you to our socials page, so you can follow our Twitter and other locations, and we'll also keep a couple videos on here. We're actively releasing new pages for all this, so bear with us as we continue to release those. But for example, like the roadmap page has some basic information about the phases of the project. The next phase is going to be the lore, or sorry, the next page will be our lore page, and we are also actually working on being able to connect your wallet via Nautilus. And I feel that we're a lot closer to that than I would have originally anticipated. So things are coming along really nicely. Added a few new artists to the team, added a couple new developers to the team, and at this point I have no doubt in my mind that Blitz will have a release. Maybe not a successful release, who knows, but it will be released, which is exciting. So please continue to support us and follow us, discuss feedback and whatnot in the Discord. A build for this version of the game will actually be linked in the description, so if you want to play around and create an account and really just try to troubleshoot and find bugs for us, please do so, and then reach out to me in the Discord with anything you find. Thank you for your time today. I hope you all have a wonderful week or month or whatever you're doing in the near future. See ya.